Hey, everybody, welcome to the Daniel Ortiz Rants at the Movies podcast. Today, we're going to be looking at a series that I was excited to watch called Your Honor, starring Bryan Cranston from the hit series Breaking Bad. And Breaking Bad is actually my favorite show, my television series of all time. Just an amazing show. Bryan Cranston, obviously one of my favorite actors too, being that he comes from my favorite show. Good to see him back on another series. He took a little bit of a hiatus, did a couple of films, and came back for this one. And I was super excited to see it. It involves mafias and gangs and crime families, which is something that always interests me, and I'm always willing to watch a series like that. And the synopsis on this one, and let me read this one. A judge confronts his convictions when his son is involved in a hit and run that embroils an organized crime family. Facing impossible choices, he discovers how far a father will go to save his son's life. And that's basically what the show was about. It was about him covering up that his son had did a hit and run on a mafia member's family, or I should say a mafia boss's family, and kind of the trials and tribulations that go along with that. So the show first episode was really intense, very tense filled. Obviously that's where it starts, and it starts almost immediately. So it's like through the entire first episode, we see how the father's actually trying to help his son cover up the crime that happened, and understanding who he hit, which really shows the power that this mafia boss has, because he's a judge. He's literally a judge in New Orleans, and once he heard who the mafia figure was, he decided he wasn't going to turn in his son anymore, and now he was going to try and cover up the entire thing because of the risk of it all. So I found that first episode to be very good, very tense filled, and it pulled me in immediately. One of the things that I did notice about the series, which kind of hindered it a little bit, is the fact that there was a lot of things that we've seen before. It's like those little things that you always see in shows. So, one person's carrying a secret, and, he's doing everything to keep that secret. But every time he stumbles on one lie, another lie is built up, and then another lie, and then another lie. And he has to diffuse the lies, and he starts diffusing them, but then that starts bringing on more lies. And that's what the show did, and it did a lot of little things that you knew were going to come up later, and we know what the formula is for that, and it's very formulaic. You'll see an item, and you're like, oh, okay, I won't see that till probably second to last episode, or somebody would show up that was a really brief cameo, and you're like, okay, they're going to play an important part as the series goes along. So the series had a lot of formula to it, which for me was a little bit of a hindrance because it wasn't anything fresh that it brought to the table. But I will say that him being the judge and someone that you're supposed to trust, and part of the judicial system, and he's doing so many heinous things that even with Bryan Cranston, it kind of does remind me of Walter White, where you had this love-hate relationship for the protagonist. And it kind of bled over here, but it was a very fine line of where it was going. So I'll let you guys check it out, and you tell me. Right now it looks like it has gone up in popularity, so if you haven't seen it, I would check out seeing it. I would say check it out. God, here we go, we're starting again. Anyways, the story starts developing a little bit more. There's more characters brought in, and you see the consequences that happen when this father is trying to protect his son. It starts bringing out the worst in him, and he starts carrying less about people outside, and he's willing to lie to people that he actually loves too, and speak to them in all kinds of ill manners. So I would say that a lot of the actors in this film really keep you engaged. There's really not too many weak people. Michael Stuhlbarg, I don't know how to pronounce his name correctly, who plays the mafia boss. One of my favorites from another one of my favorite shows, Boardwalk Empire. He played Ace Rothstein. Was it Ace Rothstein, or that's Casino? Never mind. It's Arnold Rothstein. He played Arnold Rothstein, and it was almost the same thing, where he was like this cool, calm, collective gangster that really had this like psycho look to him, and kind of reminds me of the Joker, the way that he looks. He would have made a great like Jack Nicholson type Joker. Amazing guy. But the difference between his perception as Arnold Rothstein is that Arnold Rothstein never lost his cool. I think he did it once in the entire show. And in this one, he does lose his cool a lot. But then again, he did lose his son, so it's totally expected. But did an amazing job. Is always believable in his role. So kudos to Michael Stuhlbarg, or Stuhl. I don't know if it's Stuhl or Stuhl, but yeah. So this series was very interesting. I think what was the most worthy part of it is actually the last 20 minutes of the last episode. That's where I felt that the series just took a huge jump, and this is the culmination of all that formula, and the first episode and all the lies and everything actually really just comes to fruition in the last 20 minutes of the last episode. And after that, I thought it was all worth it, because the way that they ended the series, it was a little unexpected. It was expected, but it was unexpected on how it happened. And I'm going to leave that for you guys to watch. I promise I won't spoil it. There's going to be a spoiler coming out after this, but I'll give you guys a warning. But the last 20 minutes of the last episode made the show worth watching. So my final grade for this one is going to be a B. And I'm going to give it a B only because, like I mentioned before, it was a little bit formulaic, and I knew the things that were going to come into play, and some of the things they try to make seem like weren't that important, I knew were going to come back later. I thought a lot of the court scenes were really good. The prosecutor, she was freaking amazing in this, very believable too. So if you see her, check her out, especially towards the latter episodes. She gets really good. But yeah, I'll give this one a B. Definitely check it out. And I'm gonna go ahead and get into a little bit of spoiler talk, and it's just one part of the show that I thought was very it wasn't just put out there, but it was something that was talked about, and I started seeing the relationship for it. So I'm going to count it down so you know the spoiler's coming. If you want to watch the show first, you might want to just stop it right now, go watch it, and then come back. But 3, 2, 1. So one of the parts of the shows that I found to be a theme and a running theme is obviously with fathers and sons. So one of the things that I saw that they pointed out, and the daughter, Sophia Baxter, who was the daughter to the crime boss, she was not struggling, but she had no belief in God, and her mother had more of a religious belief. And one of the stories that came up, which I thought was somewhat fascinating, they tried to really incorporate into the story, was the story of Abraham and him killing his son in the Bible. And what I found very interesting about that is that in that story, he was willing to kill his son because God had commanded him to. And right before he actually did it, God stopped him. And he did it just to prove, he made him do it to prove that he really did love God more than anything in the world. So he didn't end up killing his son, if you don't know the story. But where I think that this played a part in this series was the fact that Bryan Cranston, who give you his name real quick here. Oh, then I closed the page. Bryan Cranston, who was Walter White, he wouldn't sacrifice his son, even though his son did a pretty bad thing. It wasn't that he did the hit, it was the run part. So being that he didn't sacrifice his son through the entirety of the show, he refused to do it. He put himself in worse predicaments. He put his son in a worse predicament. lives were lost because of him. And the fact that he wouldn't sacrifice his son to the judicial system, or towards the end, is pretty much sacrificing it to the mob boss, because regardless of anything, he would have found a way to get him killed even if he was in jail. But it's a whole thing about sacrificing and knowing when's the right time to sacrifice and when it's not. So with him not sacrificing, he lost way more than he did than if he did sacrifice his son and turn him in. Now at the beginning, that was his job. That's what he was planning to do. But instead, what he wanted to do was, since he saw that it was the mob boss's son, he wanted to protect his son from getting killed by the mob, which totally understandable. Not saying it's right or wrong either way, and I understand his predicament, but it was going too far where, like I said, people were dying behind this, and his conscience was killing him, and he was being stressed, and he felt pressure, as he mentioned. So there was a lot going on with this, more so than just, I'm trying to protect my son. I think it was something about learning when you had to sacrifice and when you didn't. So that's totally what I got towards the end of the series. I really did enjoy it, and I do suggest that you guys watch it if you like a good drama, good mystery. This is a very good show. So as I mentioned before, I'm giving it a B. Check it out, and check me out on the next one. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. Also, love seeing the comments. And I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks so much for sticking around, and I'll catch you next time. All right, bye.